into the Sunday Night Live Stream. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by Rod Babers and Jerry Hamilton, sponsored by our friends over at RogueShop.com. Use the code ONTexas for discounts over at RogueShop.com. We'll have more about them a little later. Rod B., Jerry Hamilton. Steve Sarkisian and Brandon Harris, they've decided we don't get Sundays off. Yeah. Lost 3 to Arkansas in baseball. Thought it was a woe is me Sunday, and all of a sudden Steve Sarkisian goes out to the transfer portal and picks up a transfer quarterback. It looks like it's depth and security blanket, etc. Longhorns will now have 4 quarterbacks on the roster for 2025. Very interesting take. His name is Matthew Caldwell. He is out of Troy by way of Auburn High School in Auburn, Alabama. First went to Jackson State, then went to Gardner Webb for a year, and then the last year at Troy, where he was the starter for Troy the last 5 games of the season. Very interesting take here overall by the University of Texas and Steve Sarkisian. But as Jerry and I talked about earlier, Rod, on an earlier show, there's not been a time in Steve Sarkisian's career where his starting quarterback didn't go out at some point during the year. This looks like, to me, Texas trying to solidify whoever's going to be that backup is going to earn it. It's not just going to be given to Trey Owens. Rod, you tell us what you thought about the pickup. Jerry and I have already talked a little bit about it.
Yeah, I think it's a quality move. It really is. You start looking at it, no matter which way you're trying to study it. You brought up the historic element of it, right? The best predictor, indicator of future events is past events. Well, study Steve Sarkisian's tenure here. Well, he hadn't had a quarterback that made it through an entire season unscathed, right? So you've had to play multiple quarterbacks. And the recent history here at Texas, the last 27 years, I believe, is only 6 times have we seen a quarterback start and finish every game. It just doesn't happen very often. I was actually studying the NFL because I was actually looking at Quinn's transition to the NFL with the Miami Dolphins, and they got Quinn, who's an injury-prone quarterback, Tua, who's injury-prone quarterback. How about this stat, guys? Last season in the NFL, you had 59 unique starting quarterbacks, 59 of them. In 2023, you had 66 of them. You had 68 in 2022. Unique starting quarterbacks. So it just makes perfect sense.
There's only 32 teams.
Exactly, right? So it makes perfect sense that you need that insurance policy, but you don't just want liability. You want to be fully insured, right? You want to be fully covered. And that's what this is. This is the full coverage. Listen, you guys know I love me some Trey Owens. I do. I think he's great. I've been saying I actually give him a compliment. I don't think he'll be here to exhaust his eligibility just because I think he's got a lot of talent and a really high ceiling. But he ain't played no games at the college level, all right? And knock on wood, we pray and hope Arch is one of those few quarterbacks that's been able to make it through an entire season, unscathed, start to finish and start and finish every game. History says that it's unlikely. He could do it. But history says at one point, game for one start, maybe just to come in for a game, you're going to need your backup to play some quality minutes, and you don't know quality reps, and you have no idea when it's going to be. It could be in the middle of SEC play, and to throw a young quarterback out there who hadn't taken a snap yet at the college level in that kind of situation, that could be for Texas. It could really kind of change the trajectory of your season in a sense. And I think Sark wants to give himself the best possible chance that if it is going to be Trey Owens who's your backup, hey, like you said, let's make them have to earn it. Let's use meritocracy. All right, you don't just get that job. Arch has earned it through 2-3 years sitting. He's ready for in his 3rd year to be the starter. But for Trey Owens, who I like, by the way, I'm fully on board for making this a competition, especially with a guy who started games at the college level.
Hey, Rod, and we did a live, and I mentioned, when you're in the off season, right? Coaches it's all about, they coach to a level of perfection, right? I mean,
Yep.
It's the details. And in the off season, Sark was sitting around saying that Alabama game in 2022, Quinn got hurt, Hudson Card rolls his ankle, and a walk-on is warming up. And everybody in the stands thought, hey, is Hudson Card done too? And so I don't think Sark wants to get in that situation, one. And that if he didn't make this move, for the fans out there, he's making this move because he thinks he's got a really good team. If you don't think you have a good team, you aren't making the extra move. You're like, man, yeah, I'll just bring my freshman in because we're gonna go 7-5. Yeah, he ain't thinking like that. He's thinking we got a chance. But the same starting quarterback hadn't made it through a season at Texas, like Bobby said. So, and then the other thing is, look, KJ Lacey's red shirt, this is a very important years for kids who are coming in expecting the red shirt, and that's part of the plan. You don't think Sark didn't look across at thinking about back on the season, look across at Oklahoma, think back to that game and said, Michael Hawkins may or may not end up being a good player, but that was a bad situation that Oklahoma had to bring that kid into in that game.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to put his quarterback that's never played in that situation if it comes to that. I think it's a really good move. I think it's a smart move, and I think he is protecting this season in case things go unfortunate. He also, think about this, guys. He lost his number 1 and 3 running back last year before the season.
Yeah. It's not like he hasn't been bit by the injury bug, right? Hey, we got a couple more things to talk about. The other thing, I want to get to that. We're going to look over Matthew Caldwell. He is the quarterback that has signed with the University of Texas out of Troy, a 6-game starter a year ago. Before we get to that, I want to remind you guys, this is a Sunday night show. You guys put your questions in. Me, Jerry, and Rod will get to them as quickly as we can. We also have some other news that we need to talk about a little bit. But before I get to the Rogue Shop read here for you, Rod, I want to add this. Texas played 16 games last year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's 3 more opportunities to have that you got to fill a backup quarterback potentially. And I will add this. Ohio State won a national championship with a 3rd-string quarterback. So you gotta have some depth at all positions. We'll see where that goes. All right, Rod, tell us and everyone else out there about Rogue Shop, if you don't mind, bud.
No question. Thank you very much, Bobby. And thank you to our friends at Rogue Shop as well for being sponsors of our Sunday night live stream here on Texas Football. Remember, rogueshop.com. Use that discount code on Texas. Our friends at Rogue Shop are bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. Make sure you use that promo code on Texas, and you'll get a very special discount from our friends over at Rogue Shop. They have it all from oils and creams to flour, gummies, and vitamins as well. They also ship nationwide, so no matter where you are in this great country of ours, and no matter where you are in the ON Texas football family, they can get their great products to you. And no matter what you're dealing with, maybe it's aches and pains, maybe it's from your playing days like me, or maybe it's just from battling Father Time, or maybe it's anxiety you're dealing with, maybe sleep deprivation, you can't get a good night's sleep. Our friends over at Rogue Shop have a variety of different items to help you deal with a variety of different ailments. Actually, we had a member of the ON Texas football family tell me personally that they were having a hard time getting a good night's sleep, and they tried a couple of items over at Rogue Shop, and now they swear by them because they're sleeping better than ever thanks to Rogue Shop. So maybe it's sleep for you, maybe it's anxiety for you, maybe it's just aches and pains. Our friends at Rogue Shop, they'll hook you up. Use that discount code on Texas, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots.
Thank you, Rod, very much. Hey, guys, let's take a look, if you don't mind, at Matthew Caldwell's stats here for a second. Passed for 1,608 yards a year ago, 141 of 223, 63%, 13 passing touchdowns, 18 interceptions. Jerry, one of the things you and I talked about, 5 rushing touchdowns, though, a year ago. He's 6'4", 212 pounds. Texas, outside of KJ Lacey, Texas is going to have a big quarterback room with Arch Manning, Trey Owens, and now Matthew Caldwell.
Yeah, so what, and look, we're spitballing here for a little bit, but if you wanted to protect Arch, Rod, in some red zone QB run game stuff, this is a guy who's played it. He's done it a little bit in the red zone. He's not necessarily a running threat, but Trey Owens isn't that situational guy. So there's some layers to this. Trey Owens is a pocket passer. And I'm not saying this guy's not a pocket passer, but Trey Owens is just not a guy you're going to run any QB draw on 3rd and goal from the 3 with, right? That's just not what you're going to do. So there's going to be some elements to this. Jeff Howe said in the live stream that one of his coaches at Troy coached under Neil Brown as well.
Good. I like that.
Yeah, at Texas Tech, coached under Neil Brown. So there's some elements here it's insurance, obviously, but there could be some hidden thoughts here between Sark and Neil Brown on how you could use somebody like this while also protecting your guy to maximize every down, every distance this season.
He was a starter last year at Troy. He was a starter
Right.
last year, Rod, at
Yeah.
Troy. He was a Sun Belt. He was the Sun Belt Player of the Week one week. Went 26 of 32 for 288 against Georgia Southern. I mean, I think what you said at the very outset, Rod, is right. I mean, it's just covering all those bases, right? I mean, isn't that ultimately what it's about? Is not letting anything go to waste here and trying to make sure you maximize or able to maximize what you got this year?
And that's a great point. I wonder how they sold him on it.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I mean,
the sales pitch had to be, look at the history of when I've been at Texas, like you brought up, Bobby, and tell the young man, listen, you win that backup job, there's a good chance you're gonna get a couple of chances to play in the SEC on the big stage. And then you kind of point to some of the stories around the country of guys, all you need is to showcase your talent for a little while, just like he did at Troy and transferred to Texas. And then maybe, because he's got one more year of eligibility. Is he done after this year?
Yes, this is it. Grad transfer.
Yeah, so I don't know, other than, because I know he can't go elsewhere other than him maybe showcasing his talent so that he could show NFL scouts. It's hard to tell what the sales pitch would have been for him. NIL, I'm sure he got a little bit of NIL that probably helped as well. But I mean, it just shows you how stacked the roster is for Texas, man. It's unbelievable. I mean, they have pretty much that, and now they have stacked the roster so much. I wasn't even concerned about backup. I actually was confident in Trey Owens. Now I have questions about who's going to win the backup job. Is it this? Is it him coming in, Matthew Caldwell? Or are we talking about Trey Owens? Maybe he's not as far ahead as the coaches thought, or is it the fact that he hasn't played at the college level that's giving them a little bit of hesitation in crowning him? And that's not, it's like going on a job interview and they tell you, oh man, you hadn't had enough experience. It's like, well, I can't get experience until somebody hires me. So I wonder if it's just that he just doesn't have the experience and Sark doesn't want to leave it to chance because he knows, hey man, we're about to do something special and I can't take the chance. Leave no doubt.
Here's my thing, right? Best teams have competition everywhere. Ain't nothing wrong with what's going on. Best teams have competition everywhere, including backup quarterback. So Trey Owens is going to be a good quarterback one day. He's got to get after it though now because KJ Lacey wasn't really testing him in spring ball. Got some questions here. Thank y'all. Thank you to Scott Surgeon for the super chat. Do players, speaking of spring practice, do players make a larger jump during spring or summer? Rod, I'm going to ask you that as a former player. Did you feel like you made a bigger jump during spring or summer?
You have to make your biggest jumps in spring. Now we're talking about training camp. Is that including summer?
I don't know what he means by that.
This is why I say that, because you have to. Football is one of those sports where you practice and you train so much more than you actually play the game. And anytime I get full pads on and I can get a rep in full pads, that's as valuable as it gets. And I don't get that in the summer. I can train as hard as I want to. I can go out there and do all the drills and have my footwork right, and all that's great. But football is a game where you got to put all those dimensions together. All right, the football IQ, processing it, the film study, the footwork, the conditioning, the strength, you got to put it all together. And the only time you do that is when you get real live reps. So I would say anytime so we talk about training camp, then that's a little different story. But it's when you got the pads on in spring, man. You get to put the pads on. And you should be making strides during the season too. I mean, you should be getting better. That's as a player. I remember you get kind of your stride as a player. If you're a good player, you should later on in the season. Because you've seen now so much football, your brain has been kind of programmed and you're moving at a real fast, you're processing at a faster rate and you're moving at a faster rate because you've had so many reps of it. That's why guys are rusty early on in the season, right? They're a little slower to process early in the season because you're coming out of training and you're coming out of training camp, and a lot of the emphasis now is keeping guys fresh and limiting the amount of contact and physicality you have. You can't simulate that. You can't replicate that in no off season. There's no computer program. There ain't no drill a coach can do. Ain't nothing that simulates
7 on 7, 7 on 7.
No, none of it simulates putting the pads on and going out there and having ill will toward another human being. It's a little different story. Like,
hey, let me add something to this. Is it also the age you're at in college?
Oh.
So I say that because
that's fair.
If you're a freshman coming in January, then spring is huge for you, right? Huge. If you're neto going into year 4, is it actually, or it may depend on where you're at in your physical growth. That summer weight room program can be the most important for a certain positional, like a young Trevor Gooseby, as he was adding strength. So some of this could be kind of what position you play, one, where you're at in your physical development too. And I'm sorry, I got all sorts of sun going down shades.
Yeah, but what you're saying makes a lot of sense, Jerry.
Yeah,
I mean, what you're saying is it's dependent on the player and his arc in his career.
Yeah.
I would say that young players need the summer, and this used to be the case. It's not so much the case anymore because you have all these guys coming in
early.
January.
Yeah, early. Mm-hmm.
But summer used to be the time when guys would show up and they actually got indoctrinated into a college weight room. And I want to say this. They also, guys, back in the day, look, they would be playing multiple sports before coming into college. So that would be the first time they would ever be a full-on just football player, right? They might, Rod, we got to talk about this. Rod ran track at Lamar High School.
Oh, boy.
By the way, won the state championship in track this weekend in 6A as a team. Congratulations to your former high school there, Rod. But my point being is if that is the case, then summertime means more because you're actually getting them. Now that you're getting these guys, the majority of them in spring or winter workouts, I would lean more to winter or that spring term over summer even, Jerry. I mean, even despite what you're saying is true, I think it more depended on the individual. Hey, before we moved on to the next one, I think it's a good time to mention this. A couple things went on at the state track meet this weekend. One thing that just blows my mind, okay? Absolutely blows my mind. Matt, I don't know if I sent it to you, but there's a scoreboard, a picture of a scoreboard.
Oh, yeah, I saw this.
Of the state 100 meter. And it absolutely floors me what happened in the 6A 100 meter. Tate Taylor out of Harlan in Northside School District over in San Antonio ran a 9.92 second 100 meter. Fastest win legal time ever in high school sports. 9.92. Rod, look at that. I mean, I was texting with Bob Shipley today because the 110 hurdles also ran an all-time state record. Went 13.25 in a guy did in the 110 hurdles. That's faster than Jamal Charles.
Yeah.
Went in high school. And Rod, there have been years, I would guess in the last 20 years, the person that finished 8th in this state 100 meters would have won at 10.37. I mean, I don't know if people are just getting faster.
They are.
We saw this quantum leap, but I mean, a high schooler running 9.92 100 meter. It blows my mind.
I think there's a lot of things at play here. I think one, we have great AAU track programs in this state, and kids are part of it.
Yep.
I mean, this Tate Taylor kid just visited Georgia and Florida. I don't even think he's committed yet. We'll see who else is in it for him. But
for track, by the way.
For track. Oh, yeah, for track. Here's the crazy thing. Outside of Dylan Mitchell, I'm going to get to 4 and 5 because 4 and 5 on this list are amazing too. If you don't know the guys on the list, None of these guys are big-time football prospects. Why? All the kids graduate early, Rod. There's no Decorian Moore running 10-2 on this list.
Yeah.
These guys are all in college football going through spring practice.
You're right.
We have great AAU track in this state. I do think kids are getting faster. I think they're perfecting their craft. I think there's also better training. I think there's also better nutrition and everything that goes with it nowadays. If kids are really dedicated, you see what it can do for you in other sports. So I think the kids are not maximizing, but they're maximizing what they can do in high school, much more so in Texas right now. Number 4 and 5 on this list, Bobby and Rod, are as amazing as anything to me. Dylan Mitchell and Onyenwincha or whatever. Rod, they're freshmen in high school.
Oh,
992.
7 and 10-1-8.
This 992 is going down in a couple of years. Those are freshmen. We've never had 2 freshmen in the state in a state final put up times like that. And I think the eventual qualifying time was 10:06.
Dude, this is crazy. I hate to say that they should be testing these young guys. It's crazy.
I was getting that they're maximizing everything.
It's a compliment because the NFL does this. The NFL, there's lots of different reports about this too and examples. When there's a freaky play, the NFL will actually test guys in the locker room after games. If they do something freaky on the football field, they'll be like, "Yeah, we got to test you real quick just to make sure." Yep. I'm serious. There are several, as DK Metcalf's talked about it, like they've done some freaky stuff, a great play, and it's like something we haven't seen, and there'll be a guy waiting for him, like, "Hey, we're gonna need to test that because that was freaky. We just haven't seen nothing like that." That's a compliment to these guys. I don't think they are dope or anything like that, but I'm just saying, like, that's how freaky this stuff is. I need like confirmation that this is human because then we're talking about superhumans because these kids doing this before they're 18 years old. You gotta be kidding me, man.
Braden Williams looked like he was shot out of a rocket in that. By the way, Tate Taylor got him in the last 30 meters. And so I would look this up earlier today. The fastest time in the world this year so far, I believe, is 9.81.
Yeah.
Okay. Now there's been several people go 9.7s in the last 2 years. So I'm not, but I mean, that's just amazing to me. Amazing what's going on in state track. Also, congratulations to Cedric Griffin's son. I think, was he a double gold medalist this year?
I think so.
Gary, the former Texas defensive back, Rod, guy that you know pretty well.
Yeah.
His son Swade over at Logos won a couple of state championships. Congratulations there. Jalen Lott, who was in town to meet with the Texas coaches. I think his son, James Lott, is his dad. Played at the University of Texas. He finished second in the high jump. A lot of guys, a lot of people. There's a young woman that has now won 16 gold medals in her career in college and high school track. So that meet finished up earlier this weekend. So congratulations to all of those folks that participated in just an amazing event again this year. All right, let's get back to some football talk. Sorry to divert our discussion there, guys, but had to bring that up.
Oh, no, it was worth it. I mean,
yeah.
By the way, multiple, I think it's 6A and 4A, high jumps of 7'1" as well.
That's what I'm saying. It's all across the board, like everything. I think the ladies set a record too. And
4x1, right?
Yeah.
People have asked me what's the up on this show before, and I'm going to point this out. What's the up and coming school in the Houston area? And every time I've said it's Iowa Colony. So those that don't know where Iowa Colony is kind of the spillover between Manville and Shadow Creek.
It's down on 288 if you know
towards Arcola. Yeah, they won the 5A 4x1 39.74. 3 of those guys are future D1 football players. They have that's a school where there's so much talent. They probably have 9, 10, 11, 12 D1 football players coming up there. That Iowa Colony, for those who've asked, and I've answered before, if you're wondering, that's the Houston area school to keep an eye on in the future.
Wow. Thanks, Derek. All right. Hey, Colin Davis with a super chat. Little football talk here. Which 2 to 3 players need to hit their ceiling or are most important for us to win a natty? And then he puts in quotes, and I agree with him, or parentheses, besides Arch. Arch is a given. He's right. So which 2 to 3 players need to hit their ceiling? How about we each take one? Okay. What if I say Colin Simmons has to? I don't know that he's going to hit a ceiling as a sophomore.
That's easy.
But he needs to make even another step forward because he's going to get more time this year over the entire season, right? You would think. Colin Simmons, one of them. That's my guy. Jerry or Rod, y'all want to go next?
I'll go next. Let's see. I'm gonna go with Ryan Wingo. That seems like an easy one.
Yeah,
that came to my mind too. Yeah.
That's. I mean, your Colin Simmons one. I mean, I'm with you on that. But Ryan Wingo, in order, obviously, besides Arch, but to help maximize Arch, we all know that one. He needs a target like that can go win one-on-one situations. Ryan Wingo seems to be that guy they'll have gravity, force defense to have to take him away. That'll open up a lot of different things on the offense. So Ryan Wingo's the guy for me.
What about you, Jerry?
This is just a tough one. I'm between Jelani McDonald and Brandon Baker because who's the guy that's following up somebody? And I think Trevor Gooseby, because he got experience, he would have been my guy, but he got experience last year, key experience in big games. So that right tackle position, what you don't want is, we got to change our right tackle out midway through the season, right?
Yeah, that'd be ugly, yeah.
And because the graduation of Andrew Makuba and Derek Williams coming off the knee, if Jelani McDonald shows up this next year as an all-SEC first, second team level guy, I think that kind of changes the back end of your defense, takes some pressure off losing Makuba and Jahdae Barron. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going with McDonald because here's the other thing. He also can play nickel. I think his play this year is going to be him turning into an all-SEC potential second-round type NFL draft pick is going to be huge for this team in the back end.
Not necessarily this year turning into the second rounder, but
hey,
I hope he stays a little bit longer than that. But I hear what you're saying.
I like it.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I almost went with Mason Shipley, but I don't want to put that much pressure on him.
Oh, wow. The kicker.
Yeah, don't jinx him already, Jay. Don't jinx him.
I'm going to, if I had to say this, I mean, don't you want your great players to be great, though? Is it?
Yes.
Is that what? And I'm not saying football is a team sport, in my opinion, the ultimate team sport, right? Because all it takes is one player to screw up out of 11 and the play goes haywire, right? So I think it's the ultimate team sport. And so, everybody has to be good, but to be great, to win a championship, don't your great players have to be great? Doesn't the Anthony Hill have to be great? And play better against the run, for example. Run fit better. Get utilized more pass rush. Rod, you mentioned Ryan Wingo. What about Emmett Mosley? Is he better than maybe some people think? Because, he had a terrific freshman year. In 9 games, he had caught 48 passes. As a true freshman, he outperformed Alec Aniamayor, who I think was a second-round pick out of Stanford last year in the last 4 games. More catches, more yards.
Yeah.
So now they could have been, trying to double cover that guy. But my point being, Trey Wisner has to have a great year if they want to be great.
Yeah.
That's all I would. So, Colin, my point is, I don't know about hitting their ceiling, but if Texas wants to be great, man, the big dog's got to step up.
Yeah, for me, I think they will. I'm not even worried about
Colin Simmons. You're not worried about it.
No, I'm thinking to myself to maximize this team it's normally the guys that are entering year 2, entering year 3, first-time starters that can handle starting on a team that's ranked 1, 2, or 3 in America and going to Columbus and handling the moment. And the moments aren't too big for those guys to where you're like, oh, man, this guy looked good in the spring. Now we got to think about, do we make him change here? Those things have to fall into place for teams, man. It's for me. It's like that's look, and here, I'll throw you another one out. Cedric Baxter being healthy second half of the season. So you have a
1-2
guy. You have that guy that was a preseason All SEC back, and the guy Nick Saban said was the best running back they faced.
Yeah. I'll say this to Bobby's point, because I agree with Bobby about the great players being great. The term for them analytically is they're force multipliers, right?
Yeah.
They essentially they are going to increase the effectiveness and your ability to maximize everybody's talent. I played with some guys like Derrick Johnson is a force multiplier. He's going to be so damn good that the offense will probably have to change their strategy just to deal with him. That's going to make life easier on everybody else because they got to pay attention to stopping him. That Colin Simmons should be a force multiplier, right? Anthony Hill should be one of those guys, kind of a force multiplier for you. And to that point, then the other guys, that's a great comedy, by the way, with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg, by the way, the other guys. But no, that's the key. The key to having a great season, guy, is the other guys. Because like Jerry's right. When I say those guys who have the first round ability, those true 5-star elite talents, man, they're supposed to be performed. That's Arch Manning considered. That's why he took Arch out of the discussion. That's considered, a given. He's going to perform. What you need is your Gunnar Helms, your Trey Wilder's,
Alfred Collins last year.
Your Vernon Broughton, your Michael Taps, and you go, oh, this team's gonna be damn good because even the other guys are all Americans, are playing at a high level, like they can be NFL draft picks. That's really gonna be the key. Now we don't know who those other guys are gonna be, right? Sometimes we thought some people thought Isaiah Bond was gonna be leading receiver coming in. Turns out Matthew Golden turns out to be that guy. That's really the key to a kind of like Jordan Whitten. I like that. Yeah, like that's the key to a really good team. Your big dogs are supposed to step up, but who are gonna be the other guys? Who's going to be that guy that steps up and go, oh, I did not expect that. That's a pleasant surprise that makes this team that much better.
I'll throw y'all a guy, and we haven't seen him in a uniform yet. I mean, Murad Watson was a freshman All-American. I mean, like, freshman All-American coming in. I mean, if that guy comes in and you're like, after a couple of games, you're like, wow, this guy's going to be a high NFL draft pick in 2 years. We'll be talking about that was the guy all along, right? You stick him next to Cole Brevard and Alex January, and you're sitting there saying, that was the guy. But we'll see. He's at more in the uniform.
Yeah. And you don't know. Here's the thing I will say about a freshman All-American. Having voted on those teams, you never know what the competition really was.
Yeah.
Because some of that, like Alex January could have been just as good, if not better, just didn't get the reps. Theoretically, right? But there was an opening at Syracuse, clearly.
That's
it's
fair.
a different level program at this point than Texas. So I agree with Jerry, but we got to figure this out. Hey, let's reset here a little bit, if y'all don't mind, and try to go through this. We got a bunch of different questions to get to. The reason I want to reset is you're watching the Sunday night live stream. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by Jerry Hamilton, Rod Babers. If you're just joining us, we started this discussion tonight with the commitment and pledge and signing of Matthew Caldwell, a quarterback out of Troy University. He was in the transfer portal. He comes in with 1 year remaining. He's 6'4", 212 pounds. Started the last 5 games for Troy last year. 141 of 223 for 1,608 yards, 63% completion ratio. He will now be fighting Trey Owens, we believe, for that backup role. Nobody's going to be given the job at the University of Texas. Now, given that, I do want to ask, we got like a list of questions here, guys. Let's get to all of them, all on the backup quarterback, okay? Juan Garza asks, does Matthew Caldwell cause Trey Owens to leave? Not this year. I mean, the portal's closed. Can't go anywhere unless he wants to sit.
Yeah. If he loses, yeah.
But it could cause some issues. There's no doubt about it. Unless Trey Owens wins the backup job. All right. Does Texas do Arrow Kits 27? Do we have guys like Cole Lord, Joel Tatum type practice team backups on the squad? They did have someone there in the spring. I don't know his name. But the practice that I went to, guys, had another quarterback in there. Jerry, what does it mean? This one from Dylan Jester. What does it mean for a guy like KJ Lacey?
I think actually this is pretty positive for KJ Lacey because they want to. I heard he had a really good spring. They want to preserve his red shirt and development year and not get into a situation where if you have really bad luck at injury luck at quarterback, he ends up being a starter thrown into it. He gets his full guaranteed year to develop. I actually think this is really positive for KJ Lacey. I'll say that. I think this is very, if you dig deep in your thought, I think this is very positive for KJ Lacey.
Mm-hmm.
Another one here, Brian Berg. One last one on Matthew Caldwell / Trey Owens. Do we know how Trey Owens performed in the spring scrimmages? I was told he's the clear number 2 at the end of it. Does that mean that he killed it? I don't know. Did y'all hear anything more specific than that on Trey Owens and spring scrimmage, Jerry, Rod, either one of you?
No.
I heard he was a clear number 2, Brian. That's about all I can offer you at this point. A couple other notes. Let's keep going here, if you don't mind. This one would be interesting to me. Blake Jester, who is the guy that can have that Gunnar Helm-like leap in impact and production? Doesn't have to be a tight end, just that kind of leap from one year to another. Guys that are poised for that. How about Alex January? Just mentioned him.
Yeah.
Jerry, you talked about
Jelani
McDonald, but he was a little further along, I think, than Gunnar Helm was from a year ago. We saw a little bit more of what he could do. Anybody? Ryan Wingo? No, we saw a lot of what he could do. Parker Livingstone might be.
That's a good one.
Yep. Hard to stay on offensive line, right? NATO, guy like DJ.
I could see Ty Anthony Smith.
Okay.
Somebody says Warren Roberson. We're hearing a lot about him. If he does play, I mean, he could take that kind of leap.
Yep.
Had a good spring.
One that nobody's thinking about, and I shouldn't say nobody's thinking about because we've been talking about him. But the guy that I'm just telling you need to write down the name, Brad Spence.
Right, no doubt.
The last 2 weeks of camp, I heard he was a physical wrecking shop. So that's a transfer from Arkansas. Plays linebacker. He was making some plays that they just liked. Gets there with authority. So we'll see what happens there.
I mean, 55 tackles and 4.5, 5 sacks in the SEC is nothing to sneeze at in year 2, by the way. Yep. You're an NFL prospect if you do that.
Yeah. Ezekiel Swanson, good question. Honest take. Is the wide receiver room the blocker to a championship this year? Plays well against average teams, gets stymied against elite secondaries. Woo! Could be. I mean,
Bobby knows I'm different on this one, Rod. I'll lead you into this, and you can smash me.
That's interesting because the football community, they've been talking about this actually because Texas has had one of the most talented offenses in college football the last couple of years, right? Go look at the draft streak. You've had 2 tight ends drafted in back-to-back years. You've had wide receivers drafted in back-to-back years. You've had running backs drafted in the last 3 years. And discussion is that, and I don't know, I said maybe unfair that, this is on Quinn. That a lot of the lack of really being able to maximize those receiving threats, especially downfield on vertical routes, that was the shortcomings of Quinn and his skill set. So I said maybe that's true or not. I will say this: if you look at yards per route run, which is considered analytically a very accurate metric to determine the productivity of a wide receiver, Texas receivers, at least Isaiah Bond, if you go look at Matthew Golden, very low yards per route run, some of the lowest in this class actually, wide receiver versus man coverage. Yards per route run versus man coverage. So there is something to be said. And one of the theories actually that we've talked about here on this channel is that maybe that's why your wide receivers are getting bigger. Like, go look at the wide receiver room now compared to the wide receiver room a couple of years ago. Like, they are just longer, they're bigger, they're taller, and that maybe this has been kind of a slow evolution where Sark's like, I just need some bigger guys because now where's our speed team? We don't have as many speed. Now Ryan Ringo run in a 10-500 meters. So I mean, world class, elite 4.2 speed, those kind of guys. You don't have as many of those guys. You still have really fast wide receivers, but maybe there's been more of an emphasis on an all-around skill set, so they'd be more physical. And the belief, anecdotally, is that bigger receivers have more success versus man coverage, especially press man coverage.
And you see it in the SEC.
Boom. There you go.
So Rod, here I had a take that I think maybe a little different. I think wide receiver is going to be better this year.
Okay.
Bobby laughs. So here's the thing.
Ow.
Bobby, I'm going to get.
You're replacing a first rounder and a
I
guy
get it,
that's run for days.
Back to back, Bobby. Back to back.
By the way, last year going into the year, the question was, Texas doesn't have anybody as talented as Worthy and Mitchell at receiver. Golden ends up being a first-round pick. So
he was drafted higher than both of them.
Exactly. So here's what I'm saying. Here's why I'm going with this. On paper last year, I loved it. But then Bond got hurt, and that really changed what Texas wanted to do and could do with Quinn, right? In my opinion. And, Ryan Wingo was a young guy. DeAndre Moore is a first-year starter. Texas is returning 2 receivers that started a national semifinal game. 2 guys. And they're both pros, too. We don't know what round. That's up to Wingo and Moore, but they're both pros. And you just added a guy that started games as a freshman. So you actually, to me, have more experience coming in this year. 2 guys that started at Texas last year. Last year, there were none that had ever caught passes at Texas. These guys have been in the system. They know the system. They know Torrey Becton's workouts. They're both headed into year 2 as starters when you normally make your big jump. And then you bring in another guy who was his freshman starter in the ACC last year. Call me crazy. I think they're going to be better this year if they stay healthy. And I know we're doing the college football playoffs. Texas never brought back 2 starting receivers that were in a college football playoff. Even Vince's year when they won the national championship, guys graduated. You haven't returned guys like this before.
Yeah. That's a good point. No, that's a good point.
I'm going to have too much Kool-Aid in this shirt.
No. But I will say this. Sark, that's why the NFL, they like Sark's preferences at wide receiver, even though at times they can almost seem like outliers, whether it's size or speed. They like the way he utilizes his wide receivers. He almost gives them a little blueprint on how to use them. And so I'm with you. He's had different iterations now of wide receivers, and they've still thrived year after year. So I have no reason to doubt your theory, Jerry, that they could be just as good, if not better. And maybe these are the receivers that Arch prefers. Maybe Arch wants a bigger wide receiver. Arch likes a bigger,
back shoulder ball. Vertical throws outside the numbers are coming back into the playbook. Now, that just wasn't Quinn's strength.
Exactly.
No, Quinn was a timing guy.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that Manning won't be, but I think we'll just see more difficult throws. I'm just going to put that out there. More guys up the seam or up the half.
And I also want to say this. I think by game 6-7, and I know Sark's circle of trust, we'll see what it is, as Rod coined the phrase so greatly.
All right, this is the one, though.
That's a chat.
I like it.
So we have a circle and a circle now.
Obviously, Parker Livingstone's in the circle of trust right now, whether he's a starter or number 4 receiver.
Yep.
But here's another reason I like this wide receiver core. Dalen McCutcheon, Jamie French, and Lockett are all really talented. Really talented freshmen. What are they going to look like 7 games into the season? I just think they have a lot of talent at wide receiver, coupled with 2 guys who started college football playoff games last year. That's a lot. That's great experience for young. It's not like they're seniors. These are guys, what they're going into what should be their big, big year, sophomore, junior year, 2nd and 3rd years.
You mentioned wide receivers, and I think now it's time to talk about 2 things in case you missed it from this past week. One, Jonte Cook, the former Longhorn, is now signed with Syracuse. So that's done. So he went to Washington for a month and now has signed with Syracuse. Hopefully, he gets things turned around in the right order up there. And then the other thing I was going to mention, Rod, I don't know if you saw this or not, or were able to hear it or not. We had Quentin Jammer on the Friday morning coffee and football, and people absolutely loved it. Jammer was in there. Quandre Diggs was in the chat talking smack.
Lee Jackson was
to
in.
do that.
Oh man, that's
He's
good.
asking Quentin, who's better? Who's better? Oh yeah, that was part of the game. But we had a good time. I wanted to mention those two things, and
That's
you get a
fantastic.
chance to go back and watch that interview because Quentin did a nice job with it. Hopefully, we have him back on. The reason I brought that up, Rod B, is he had some really nice things to say about you. Really nice things.
I love Jam, man. Me and Jam we were roommates and ended up starting obviously one another at the corner. So we got really close, man. And I owe a lot to Jam, man. Not only on the field, but off the field. I'm glad he didn't share all the bad stories because he knows where a lot of the bodies are buried with me. So I'm glad he was nice. I'm glad he was real nice. But Jam's a great guy, and he's a great example to a lot of young guys. Now he's kind of been open with some of his struggles and some of the things he's had to overcome personally. And he talks to a lot of the young guys about, being open with, hey, if you're struggling with something, talking to people and making sure you get help with some of that stuff. So I love the kind of the example that he has kind of become for a lot of the young guys who are done playing. I think it's really, really something that's something that should be by Longhorn fans. They should be proud of kind of the man that he's become. You should go check it. I won't get deep into it, but he's changed in a lot of ways.
He shared a little bit of that with us.
Okay.
He shared a little bit of that with us.
He's talked to Coach Akina about that. He's been big about it, but he's living the right way. So I'm happy for him.
All right, good stuff. Bevo Bob with the question here, super chat. Thank you very much. Do we have any highs, Jerry? This is a quote. I met a Florida recruit's brother, so I guess the state of Florida, who said his brother is 100% silent commit to Texas.
Oh,
any highs though? A silent commit. I mean, that's kind of what a high is. It is what a high is. What do you think? Is there one or two or more than two?
I think there's one for sure out there.
Okay.
I think I know where he's going with this.
Okay.
Y'all have fun with that in the chat.
Okay. I'll let that be right now, Jerry. Hey, Jerry.
But all these guys don't end up signing.
Yep. No, I think that's fair. This is a question. What do y'all think about Matthew Golding wearing number 22?
He's doing it for all the teams that passed on him, correct?
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's cool. This motivation. He's not the first player to do that. I've heard of that before, but good for him. I mean, that's a constant, chip on his shoulder that can, drive him. I like. It's unconventional. It don't look good. And
I'll tell you the number my dad would say. That's the number Bob Hayes wore.
Okay, so there you go. See, that's old school. That's old school right there. I wonder if Matthew Golden knows that. Though. See,
but yeah, well, he did run the fastest time in the combine. Man, he wasn't an Olympic sprinter like Bob Hayes.
That's true. Bullet Bob Hayes, right? That's
yes,
yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, hey Jerry, recruiting question. Before I get to individual questions, what is the latest in recruiting right now, bud?
Just Texas staff will be on the road. They were on the road in the state of Texas last week. They'll be starting to go out of state, California a little bit. State of Florida really got going with spring football practice May 1st. I'm going to be headed down there soon to see all the guys that are going to officially visit Texas. Texas will have staff members in Georgia, all around the country here coming up the next 2 weeks as they solidify OVs with guys, get more official visits set. Also, make more offers. 3 offers went out in the state of Texas last week. I said, I don't think, even though Texas is sitting at like 45 official visitors right now, 44 or 45, I'll have the updated list tomorrow on OnTexasFootball.com because we're waiting on a couple other guys to set those dates. Still Derek Cooper's, potentially Tyler Atkinson's. There's some big fish out there that still have to release their dates or lock in their official visit dates. James Johnson, the D lineman out of Miami Northwestern. But Texas staff will be on the road or more around the country this week. They hit DFW, Golden Triangle, Houston, Syntex areas last week. So this is a big week coming up for any out-of-state offers that could go out. And I know I'm talking 2026, not 2027. Texas will offer some guys in 27. They did last week. Get them to camp so they can really get in on that evaluation process on kids they like. But 2026 is kind of where my mind's at as far as potential new offers. You will see if Orfeh is done offering corners. If there's that's what's going to be interesting to me in the state of Florida. Is there potentially somebody else out there that could get offered? I think there is. So we'll see where that heads. But that's really what's going on. Yaheem Riley from Austin Anderson locked in his OV June 13th, 15th. So that's another official visitor now locked in. And like I said, I think there's going to be a few more, whether that's Derek Cooper, I expect, Xavier Griffin, Tyler Atkinson. I think Texas will at least get one of those guys in for a June OV. James Johnson has to announce his date, the D lineman I just mentioned. There'll be a couple other D linemen, maybe an Emmanuel Ruffin. So they're going to keep working up towards about 50 official visitors. A couple of those will peel off, but I think when all is said and done, we're going to be sitting around 50 official visitors.
Jeraylin McCoy as well, the young man out of Tupelo, Mississippi. Hey, one guy you wrote on Friday, though, that was one of those offers this week that you said Texas really likes, apparently, is the wide receiver from Kaufman.
Committed to SMU this afternoon, but
he committed to SMU this afternoon?
Yeah, he made an official visit, but that doesn't mean Texas won't stop recruiting these guys. They'll just kind of, just hang around the rim. The guys they really like, they'll get on campus during the season, as it played out last year. He committed to SMU. There's a few Texas.
They had an official visit weekend.
They had an official visit weekend. In Colorado, had KJ Edwards, Felix Ojo, Brett Colajay, Jake Kruel, some of those guys were at Colorado this weekend. So there's some people that are starting to big official visit weekends. Obviously, Texas chills out until June 6th through 8th, 13th, 15th, 20th, 22nd, because when you have the power that Texas has and the Georgias, you can kind of command those weekend official visit dates. So you're seeing SMU, you're seeing Colorado. Some of those schools attack early. What you're also seeing is some schools lead with NIL early. And that's always, I think, tricky to hold on to all those guys. But it's smart, too, to get guys in the boat.
So two other guys that Texas was interested in at some level also committed elsewhere this weekend outside of Algier Miles. Javian Osborne, the running back out of Forney, committed to Notre Dame. No surprise there. Texas had kind of not backed off, but they had kind of a mutual split ways a couple months ago. Also, Caden Dixon Wyatt, wide receiver out of Mater Dei, becomes the second Mater Dei receiver to commit to Ohio State.
They upset Oregon. Oregon thought that was done deal. Hey, by the way, and I want to point this out because I want to make sure people are clear on Texas football what we are. I think Javian Osborne is a stud player. Him going to Texas or not doesn't matter. That guy's one of the best backs in the country. He should go on and do great things at Notre Dame. So I don't want to make it sound like, well, Texas and him parted ways, so Texas doesn't think he's a good player. No, this guy's a stud. Sometimes things don't work out. Okay, he's a stud. Now, people have asked about Boobie Feaster. Now, Texas didn't really push for Boobie Feaster. That one's a little different. They had him on campus. They kind of got into some OV discussions, but then Texas kind of – I think other programs may be higher on him than Texas is at the end of the day. We'll see during the season.
And it's not because he's a reclassification guy either, Jerry, because Texas is all over multiple reclassification guys.
Yeah.
From 27 to 26. Xavier Crowell, Mark Bowman, Devon Benjamin.
Yeah.
They're on a bunch of those guys.
This is just one that Texas maybe didn't feel as strongly about as some other colleges recruiting him.
All right. Before we get to some of y'all's more direct questions, I want to take a chance one last time to talk to you all about our sponsor for Sunday night's live streams, our friends over at rogueshop.com. Rob, pleasures.
Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate it. Rogueshop.com, ladies and gentlemen. That's where you need to go. Use that discount code on Texas, and you'll get a very special discount from our friends over at rogueshop.com, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. Rogue Shop has it all, folks, from oils and creams to flour, gummies, and vitamins. They also ship nationwide, so no matter where you are in this great country of ours, our friends over at Rogue Shop can have their fabulous products to you, to your door, actually, very conveniently. So reach out to them today at rogueshop.com. Use that discount code on Texas, no matter what you're dealing with, sleep deprivation, maybe aches and pains, anxiety, variety. My friends over at Rogue Shop have a variety of different items that can help you deal with a variety of different ailments, no matter what they are. We actually had a member of the Owen Texas football family say that they actually were dealing with some sleep issues, and they tried Rogue Shop just on a whim, and now they sleep like a baby. They swear by Rogue Shop as well. So it may help you no matter what you're dealing with. Give them a shout, rogueshop.com, and you can use that discount code on Texas. Thank you very much. rogueshop.com.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Rod, and everyone out there. Guys, we got a few more questions going on here that I think is good for us to get to. AJJ says, who is Texas' top trap game this upcoming season? Who is the trap game for this season? Thanks, AJJ, for your
That is good. That's a good question. Trap game.
I think at Kentucky potentially is.
I don't know, man.
If you look at the schedule, I don't think Kentucky's as good a team, but that's right after Florida and Oklahoma.
Yeah,
and it's a road game, and Kentucky's look. Georgia barely survives there. The teams barely survive there. Now, I don't think Kentucky's as good as they have been.
Yeah.
But I don't either.
It's right after Florida and Oklahoma, though, man. There's something that you can't emotionally, Rod, you did it. You can't emotionally get up for every game.
Yeah, and that's what the trap game is literally for me. I'm looking at it. It's a good point, Jerry. It's about where it is on the schedule. When are you going to be distracted? What's the highest likelihood of Texas being distracted as a team? And I think Jerry might be right about that. I think everywhere else there's a time for you to regroup and focus, but going to Gainesville is going to be tough. And Oklahoma is Texas versus Oklahoma. That's just is what it is. So that is a potential, especially and I think trap games. I don't even know. I've never looked at trap games at home. I'm always on the road. I don't know if that's official or not by the definition, but I always think of trap games about the road games. I always figure home games, you're more likely to be focused and, recovered from whatever distraction that you were dealing with. So I think Kentucky's a good one. I mean, that's a pretty good moment. That's a pretty good point in the season where Texas is likely to be either a little bit worn out and a little bit distracted by those previous 2 weeks.
I will add this too. It's the third consecutive week they're on the road.
Oh yeah, right.
Florida, Gainesville,
yeah,
then Dallas, then Lexington. Mississippi State would be the fourth week in a row on the road. I don't. Maybe somebody no, because you're coming back home. Vanderbilt's going to be a juiced game for Texas, I would think.
Yeah, they're going to be hyped for that one.
You're coming back home after a month on the road.
And the fans will be hyped because they hadn't seen them in so damn long.
Yeah.
That'll be a hype.
Maybe Arkansas. I don't know. It's good. We'll see what Florida looks like.
The thing I look
at is a trap game, though. I mean, that's your conference opener.
The thing I look at too with trap games is, okay, if you're playing for something at the end of the year, there are no trap games, right? So Georgia, Arkansas, and A&M.
Yeah.
If you're in the hunt to get to the SEC championship games, there aren't trap games. So, I'm a Kentucky.
Unless Arkansas is something like 3-8,
right,
coming into the game.
That's fair. If they're that bad.
Yeah, if you think you're just going to roll.
Yeah. Okay. They're a rival. You shouldn't ever be overlooking a rival. But you're right, Bobby. If they're bad, then the team could be looking at A&M, especially if A&M's good. And
start being 20-point favorites over somebody. That's a trap game.
That's a trap. I agree.
Yeah. Team that has players like they do. Justin Yarbrough, what's to expect for the month of May with spring ball over and OV starting in June? Are there any recruiting camps to look forward for 26 guys? Jerry?
Spring football is where it's at. I mean, that's
high school spring football.
Yeah, spring football is where it's at. Sark talked about that Monday. Jeff and I were at the Touchdown Club of Houston and talked about how the staff was going to be on the road all month recruiting in May. And obviously, this is a huge evaluation month for the Texas staff because, here's the thing I want to say, too, about 45 official visitors scheduled right now. Texas still has decisions to make amongst those guys, Bobby. And this spring evaluation period is big for that because you may have 7 defensive linemen coming in for official visits. How are you really going to slot those? You might know who 1 and 2 are, but after that, you're going to get one more look at these guys. Meet with the high school coaches. Continue to learn more about these guys. See if there's a new offer out there. So while their boards are somewhat set, they're not all the way set yet. There's decisions still to be made on who you push for. I mean, you have 8, 9 offensive linemen. I mean, so there's still corners. Mark Orfe, just getting a look at some of these guys. There's still decisions to be made. It's a huge evaluation month for the Texas staff. For the Texas players, obviously, a couple weeks off after classes. Then they come back around 1st of June for the Torrey Becton summer beatdown, Rod. And those summer beatdowns begin around June. But for the Texas staff, it's all evaluation this month. For the Texas current players, get a couple of weeks off, rest their bodies, recharge, and they come back in June and get after it.
I would say this. I am being told that as they get out of and this is just as they finish up their spring semester here, everybody's at the end of the semester. I'm told that the guys, a lot of the receivers and tight ends are going down to New Orleans for a few days to hang out with Mannings and get some work in. So just because they're going places doesn't mean they're not going to be working out together. But that should come, I think, not either this weekend or next weekend, I was told. I'll look into that a little bit, Justin.
Hey, by the way, June should be a great month for all you guys that are fans of Texas and are members of On Texas Football. 3 official visit weekends. You have Arch Manning Passing Academy in June, which is first year Arch is a starter, so they'll let him get more media attention there. It'll probably be a little bit different there. We'll see if they bring, one of the young guys at Texas, one of the other young quarterbacks there. We'll see if any of the receivers go to work out there. So it's a big month of June coming up as well. Bobby also at the end of May. We forgot Bobby at the end of May. Has some
spring meetings.
Spring meetings, which all the SEC head coaches speak at. They have a day where they speak. Greg Sankey kind of gives his state of the SEC speech, and anything future about the SEC could be learned there.
Yeah, Sark comes in. Also, we'll see the other bat. I mean, it'll be Sean Miller will be there a little bit, as will Vic Schaefer. The coaches come in for that a little bit, talk a little bit. Chris Del Conte will speak as well. So,
hey, something else I wanted to mention. We didn't mention SEC women's softball tournament starts this week. It bunched up, man. Everybody had like 7 losses or more in SEC play. Oklahoma, Texas, everybody. Texas finished 1 game out. Oklahoma, I think, won the regular season, but the SEC softball tournament starts this week, which could be key for seeding. You don't want to go out early. Obviously, baseball had a rough weekend. Then no rest for the weary. Florida Gators coming in this weekend.
Yeah, I think you got to prove it every weekend. I like how some of the told you so people are coming out and talking about, oh, well, we told you it was going to be hard playing on the road in the SEC. Texas is 19-5 right now, leading the conference. Yeah, okay. We hear you, dude. Give me a break. I mean, meanwhile, that team barking is below 500 in conference.
Yeah.
Whatever. All right. Hey, that's going to do it for tonight's live stream. Thank you to Rod Babers, to Jerry Hamilton, and to our producer, Matt Hutchison. And thank you to all of you for joining us. Hope you learned a little something. Congrats to Matthew Caldwell, the newest Texas Longhorn quarterback out of Troy, as well as Trot O'Neill, a 2026 commit that is a deep snapper. We don't really cover deep snapper recruiting very much, but young man out of Plano's Prestonwood Christian made the decision to become a Longhorn. He will come in as part of the 2026 class. Congratulations to those two. And thank you also to our sponsor, RogueShop.com. Use promo code ONTexas. Get at least 10% off of your order there at RogueShop.com. All right, Jerry, Rod, Matt, you guys have a good week. Tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., 8:15, we're on for Coffee and Football. For everybody out there, you guys have a good week. Hook 'em.
Hook 'em.